2-year deal. Mike Evans signs a 2-year deal with the Buccaneers to remain in Tampa with his boy Baker. What's it mean? We're going to break it all down. It's in some ways disappointing. We don't get to see him go catch footballs from Patrick Mahomes or another quarterback that, let's be real, is potentially better for him. But then again, like, why try and fix what isn't broken? Because obviously Mike Evans and Baker got a good thing going on. And Mike Evans being how old? Ziggy, how old is Mike Evans?
Mike Evans is 30 years old and was born on August 21st, 1993.
Ziggy off. Turning 31 years old in August. So, you know, we could sit here and say, oh, he's going to be great for one more year for sure, no matter where he goes. But this is a 30-year-old turning 31-year-old wide receiver. So who knows when his drop-off is. The Fantasy Football Show Breaking News Edition begins right now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
Mike Evans signing a 2-year, let me read you the entire details of this thing. 2-year, $52 million contract. Evans' new deal includes $35 million in guaranteed money. $35 million in guaranteed money. You know, it kind of like makes me scratch my head when a running back like Saquon Barkley, you know, can't get this kind of action. You know, a running back like Jacobs, who knows what these guys will get, but it's crazy to me. You know, a running back is guaranteed, like Henry or Barkley or Jacobs especially. They're guaranteed. This guy's guaranteed no more time than them. It's not just about shelf life and age. It's about a disrespect to the position that is just astronomically shocking at this point. Mike Evans getting $35 million guaranteed. He was expected to test free agency just hours ago. And here we go. Here we go. What's it mean? Honestly, we got to go to the wide receiver board and we have to put something about so Higgins was tagged, Evans re-signed. Let's put a little sign or a little something right here so we have that. We'll fix this up and make it look all nice and pretty later. So, you know, we have a few other wide receivers on the board here that still need to potentially get taken care of. And Hollywood Brown's probably the most intriguing one down below. So maybe we rise him up a little bit and put him over in the corner here, because I think that that's a little disrespectful and we overlook Hollywood a lot of the time when we have these conversations. Maybe we put his photo up there. I'll get that taken care of next time. That's on me. That is on me, my bad. Let's move these guys down, make this all pretty, and go back to the breaking news board. So 2-year deal, $35 million guaranteed. The 10-year vet has opted to return to the Buccaneers, who are also expected to re-sign Baker Mayfield at some point this offseason. Evans is 30, his 31st birthday coming up here. Will start the season and remains at the top of his game. His 12.55 yards were his most since 2018, while his 15.9 yards per reception was the highest mark since 2019. Obviously playing at a high level. And is there a shot he plays elite football at 31? Sure. The thing with a player that finishes on a tear, right? They're 30 years old, they're 31 years old, even a running back, they're 27 years old or they're 28 years old. 28 is the hold your breath season. You plug your nose, you hold your breath, and you hope that there's no injuries. So Christian McCaffrey enters his 28-year-old season. You're going to hold your breath. You can act like Christian McCaffrey is Superman, but remember, Adrian Peterson once was the best running back, thought to be maybe on track to be the best running back of all time. Like, that's how good Adrian Peterson was, and he seemed superhuman. At one point, we thought there's no way Adrian Peterson's going to slow down. There's even word a couple weeks ago that he might want to return to the NFL still. But he just kind of stopped being the Adrian Peterson of old. It happens. And at 28 years old, McCaffrey, it is probably going to be a great year per start. But how many games does he play? 28 years old, hold your breath season for a running back. You just hope he gets through injury. And if they finish on a tear during the 27-year-old season, it's not always an indication that they jump right into 28. Look at Eckler. Eckler had an unbelievable 27-year-old season the year prior to this 2023 season. He turned 28 years old. He entered 2023 at the age of 28, and he looked like dog water. So Mike Evans for wide receivers is not 28. For running backs, hold your breath, is 28. For wide receivers, 30. It's crazy, and I know a lot of people think there isn't a science to this, but it's practically rocket science, just about. And if anybody knows a little bit about rocket science in space, it might just be those of us on this channel. But 30 is the year wide receivers potentially drop off. And if they play well at 29 or 30, and this guy's turning 31, so he played well at 30, and we held our breath and everything worked out okay, it really is just injury. We're worried about him missing games. Playing elite football, look at Cooper Kupp. Last year, Cooper Kupp was 30 years old. That's the year you hold your breath. He kept getting hurt. Was Cooper Kupp good when he was on the field? Absolutely. Do I think Mike Evans at 31 could be good when he's on the field? I do. Will he stay on the field? Will he get banged up? Something to do with the body when you played football for 28 years as a running back. Something when you're a wide receiver and your body is 31 years old, the likelihood of you staving off a hamstring injury, a groin injury, a lingering calf injury. These calf injuries are the new ACL. I don't know what people are putting in the water these days, but when an injury starts striking players, it strikes everybody. This calf injury came kind of out of nowhere and now is the new pre-Achilles fear and threat. It's calf injury, okay. Achilles is tied to that. Your calf, if you grab the big part of your calf and you go down slightly, that's where your Achilles is. Your calf turns into your Achilles. And a lot of times when you have a calf strain and you go out there and you go out there and you go out there, tear your Achilles. Calf injuries and Achilles are the new ACL combined. They affect older players a lot of the time because you've had that, almost think of it like a trampoline that's got a little hole in it. And those little pieces of the trampoline are unraveling slowly but surely. And then eventually out of nowhere, you jump on the trampoline, it looks intact and boom, it just snaps. That's like your Achilles tendon. There's damage. They can even see the damage if they go in there and look at it. When people have torn their Achilles, if they could actually do a scan on these and do some imaging on these Achilles, you could probably see they're vulnerable and potentially ready to pop. I do predict there'll be some preventative Achilles off-season testing. Mark my words, it will become a part of the football medicine and preventative care for these players. Achilles tears and calf injuries and all these injuries, hamstrings injuries especially, these are all a threat. So let's circle back, okay? Is this a negative live stream, Smitty, or what? Why are we talking so negative about Mike Evans? Just that he's 31 years old walking into August. Just that, I like him. I draft him and Hopkins. Ziggy, how old is DeAndre Hopkins? I think he's the same age, right? Is he 1 year older? What's going on there? Ziggy, how old is DeAndre Hopkins?
DeAndre Hopkins is 31 years old and was born on June 6, 1992.
Oh, God, he turns 32. Ziggy off. So Hopkins turns 32. I don't know what to make of Hopkins. I don't. I'll be honest with you. Can I tell you a little secret? As much as I'm worried about Evans, as much as I'm worried about Hopkins, I might try a good old zero wide receiver approach on Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty, where they'll double your first deposit up to $100. So please get on over there. I'll drop the link in the description right now. I'm very tempted because Underdog allows you to test out hundreds of different theories and strategies, and it's no skin off anybody's back to do a $5 draft and go, let's try a zero wide receiver. Doesn't matter, right? It's fun. You got to be honest. I'm very tempted right now to go on Underdog and do a zero wide receiver approach and draft Hopkins and Evans as my wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2. And try and build the running back stable and the quarterback stable or whatever I can do early on. It's a good approach. I'm not saying Hopkins, even at 32, isn't worth his weight in ADP. I'm not saying Evans isn't worth his weight in ADP. And if we pull up Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty ADP data, let's see where Mike Evans and good old DeAndre Hopkins are floating around. I will say I believe Hopkins is a lot better deal, but he's also a lot riskier at 32. Evans turns 31, Hopkins turns 32. And I don't want to hear Excel Sheet Eric come in here and say anything negative about, you're too critical on age. It doesn't matter. It does. You should know, Excel Sheet Eric. Your spreadsheet should tell you. Hopkins is a value. I think he's a tremendous value. Let me see if I can find where Hopkins is going. Hopkins' ADP is, where is it?
Motion detected at the front door.
Who's at the front door? Don't they know I'm live right now? Ziggy, show me the front door. Okay. So, Cooper Kupp's got great ADP too. This guy's 30, turning 31 years old. Ziggy off. Cooper Kupp's turning 31 years old. He is wide receiver 27 and ADP of 40. Ziggy off. ADP of 40, wide receiver 27. DeAndre Hopkins, 70 overall ADP, wide receiver 40. And Mike Evans is floating in around. He's a lot higher. He's going to cost a lot more. Mike Evans had such a good year last year. People are going to be willing to pay. However, he's still at 30 overall. Yeah, that's still high. Wide receiver 21. It's not too bad. Not too bad. Bottom line, people, maybe Evans's ADP isn't as good as I would want. I think when you look at the wide receiver rankings and Evans comes rolling in at that 31. Let me put it on screen here. 31 overall ADP, wide receiver 21. It might be a little too costly for me. Let me put this on screen here. And then let's take some phone calls. We also have a super chat. So let me get to that. I'm sorry about that, the delay. Let's hit the super chat first, and then we're going to open the phone lines. This one's from Steve. $5 holler. Spreadsheet Steve here. I'm thinking... I'm thankful for you always going live with breaking news. No one does it like you. Take a lap if you think otherwise. That's exactly what I was thinking. I don't know where my audio is. Apparently, I need to restart my system because I don't have any sound on anything. Let's see if Bichon has sound. we're completely discombobulated. We got nothing. I got nothing. I got no audio. We got no jobs. Our pets' heads are falling off. Steve, appreciate you, and I do try and go live whenever big news breaks, even if I'm a little late like I am today. I was getting lunch, and of course, this stuff broke, and I was out, and I'm like, I could go live from my car, or I'll just wait and do a proper live stream with audio and sound like I don't have right now. Mike Evans signs 2-year deal. Do it live. Steve, appreciate you.
Detected at the front door.
Who's at the front door now? Ziggy, show me the front door. Let's see what's going on. I'll show you. What's going on? Who's there? Hello? Ziggy off. Is it a cat? Dial in. For those that there's no audio. 602-635-3664. Dial in. Appreciate you all. No audio. This sucks. All right, dial in real quick. We're only going to take a few phone calls on this one. Let me read some of the chat messages. Phone lines are open. Do it live. Appreciate you all. Thank you, Steve, for the super chat. Let's see here. Peanut Butter Waivers first in the building. B-Men, Carrie, Travis Rowe, Matt O, OEG Official, Lupo, Space Ricky, Oz, Daniel, Scott, Cheryl, appreciate you. Daniel, Thomas, you guys are all awesome. I appreciate you all coming in. Your most recent messages are B-Man says 29 is not great for him. to repeat next year. Who are we talking about at 29? Evans ADP in Dynasty is 70 to 80 overall. I don't mind that if you're, you can win cash money now and you need to go after some veterans. Drafting veterans in Dynasty is sometimes good. You wrap your team around, some veterans around some really solid Dynasty core, foundational pieces, and you move from there. Evans' ADP is like 29. I have Evans' ADP right here, and on Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty, it's not 29. It is exactly 31.2. And wide receiver 21, to me, that's a little high. To me, I don't like that because guess what that puts him around? It puts him around players that, well, it's actually not too bad, but like Devontae Smith, I like a little more. Cooper Kupp and Devontae Smith and Keenan Allen and DK Metcalf, those are all the players around him. They're kind of debatable, I guess, if you believe Evans is going to go out and have one more electric season, which he very well could. No one's saying he can't. Smitty got a case of the Mondays. My system has a case of the Mondays. I'm actually just fine. I think Evans will be top 15 to 30 fantasy wide receiver for 2 more years. So you think he defies all logic of aging wide receivers? That's interesting. It's possible. You never know. Look at Derrick Henry. He is the one case study at the running back position that we cannot extrapolate, use as an example or blueprint for other RBs. He is the anomaly. And Mike Evans, to a certain extent, kind of is too because of his consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. So you never know. Fields to Cleveland, thoughts, Smitty? There's zero chance that happens, Space Ricky. I'm sorry. But how? Why? How can they do that with a $230 million guaranteed contract that was given to Deshaun Watson that is still absolutely the worst contract in the history of the NFL, and there's no way to even get out of it? There's just zero chance Fields goes to Cleveland. Like, I would say negative chance. I wish I could tell you differently, Space Ricky, but that Deshaun Watson contract is fully guaranteed. 31 ADP is still high, says G-Men or B-Men. I agree with you. I don't prescribe to 31 overall value. In fact, if we don't sort by any specific position, let me do a screenshot of the ADP and put that on the screen because I think that's more of an indication as to how high and how overvalued I think Mike Evans kind of is, to be honest. I think when you look at it, again, phone lines are open, guys. When you look at it and you break it down this way, it makes it, maybe positionally he's not too far off, but overall ADP, he most definitely is going way too high. Here's starting with 23.5 ADP. Barkley, Debo, Diggs, Olave, Tank Dell, Michael Pittman Jr., Sam Laporta, DK Metcalf, Mike Evans. Waddle right below him. I don't mind that necessarily because I'm not the biggest Waddle fan. I like Waddle, but I don't think he'll stay healthy. He reminds me of T. Higgins. T. Higgins and Waddle are both equal stayaways for me because I just think people overvalue them. But you start getting down to like ETN. I mean, he's a top 5 running back last year. I mean, do we just keep assuming he won't do it or something? I mean, we love him, but I'm saying in general, does the fantasy population, does the ADP data, does everybody out there drafting on Underdog continue to assume he's just not going to continue to produce? Why is ETN getting so disrespected? I'd rather have ETN than Mike Evans. Jalen Hurts, I'd rather have Jalen Hurts than Mike Evans. Keenan Allen, Devontae Smith, I'd probably rather have Devontae Smith over Mike Evans, but that's me. That's me. I'm a little pro Devontae Smith, maybe because his name is Smith. I don't know. Not sure. Feel like I'm pretty unbiased, but maybe I'm biased there. R.I.P. Chris Mortensen. Yeah, that's so sad, man. Went way too early. Way too early. It's scary, man. It's scary. Especially when you think like 72. I think he was 72 years old. Like, to think when he was divide that by 2, when he was 36 years old, if someone would have walked up to him and said, "Hey, half your life, you've lived half your life already," like, that's crazy. When you're younger, you're 20. If you're 22, 25, 27, 19, 28, 31, and someone comes up to you and goes, "Man, Father Time is not a good guy." And you're going to say, "I'm not worried about it," whatever. Once you start getting to the point where you actually get there and you're like, "I could be at my halfway point of my life," it starts getting a little scary. You start saying, "Okay, I thought I was tough. I thought I was invincible. It didn't bother me. I always said it when I was a kid. That didn't bother me. I'm just scared of nothing." When you get to 36 and you realize people are lucky sometimes to live to 75. You know, it would have good health and all that. Like, 80's a good life. Like, I hope that every one of you lives to 85, 90. You know, but like 80, 82 seems to be for a dude. You know, for a dude that's yelling and screaming with high blood pressure, probably like me, 82 years old would be a blessing. So you cross that halfway point and you're like, shit, I got half my life left, 10 of which I'll be in diapers. It's scary. It's scary. Prayers up to Mort. God, what a beast. B-Men says this one right here. Thanks again, Steve, for the super chat. B-Men says you might have to wait for Cousins and Baker to sign before Fields gets traded. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know that there's any necessarily any gatekeeper for any one of these things to happen or any landmark that needs to be hit first. But, you know, it does feel like Cousins could be the tempo setter, potentially, for sure. But, you know, anything can unfold any different way, you know. Not to mention franchise tags and tomorrow? I think tomorrow is when franchise tags got to be put in. But, yeah, so if anybody doesn't have anything else, I'm out of here for now. But I'll be back for the 8 p.m. show or sooner if somebody signs or somebody gets mentioned for a potential tag or if you know, there's some other extension, you know, signing or whatever. Ayuk. Not, because they're not going to sign Ayuk until later, because the Niner way is to create animosity. Let me see. Where's the instructions for the Niner way? Here it is. I got it here on this piece of paper. The Niner way. Make your wide receiver hold out, scrub his social media, get flustered, turn on his family and friends, get upset, have the fan base at least 50% turn on said player. Make sure all the other trade possibilities, those doors are closed, because you'll wait until after the draft and free agency. People will button up their wide receiver rooms. There'll be no openings. Once you have the player where you want them, you've handcuffed them in a certain situation with no trade options left. Nobody has room for him anymore. No one has cap room for him anymore. Then you approach Ayuk or said wide receiver and say, hey, this is our final offer. And it's not good enough. Ayuk gets pissed off, and who the hell knows what happens. Anybody saying that he gets traded? Not necessarily. But does Ayuk demand a trade at some point? Probably. Because if the Niner way is to wait and wait for his options to dwindle for the draft and free agency to kind of getting all the wide receiver rooms buttoned up, he will get pissed off. His agent will say, our opportunities are dwindling. They need to do this now. This Mike Evans news is going to trigger Ayuk to be a little pissed off. This Mike Evans news will probably get Ayuk saying, where's my bag? And for good reason, he deserves it. But the Niner way is to wait. The Niner way is to do what I just described to you. Take your sweet time. Later. No audio. Live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. See you all in a bit.